Okay, it looks like we have the L fixed. We are in, the meeting is live. So we've got a couple of guests here we'll introduce once we get the meeting started, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I called the Board of Education special meeting to order. Seek approval of the agenda, or a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
By Christy, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Ben, second.
Oh, Ben. All right.
Okay. All those in favor, and I really can only see who's on Zoom. So Christy and Ben, put their hands up in the 6-0.
Yes.
Unless
Yeah.
Jared's there. Okay. Jared's there and I just
6-0.
don't see him. Okay,
So
6-0.
Jared is absent, so we're 6-0.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the bond business.
We have a couple guests here today from Stifel Financial, Brett and Steve Schober. You guys are familiar with them. And they have a few things to visit with you about today in regards to the bond business. One being the analytical rating process with S&P. And then, of course, the resolution. We'll get to that in the second order of business here. So, Steve and Brett, take it away.
Thank you. Once again, Steve Shobrin, Managing Director of the Wichita office of Stifel, and Brett Shobrin, Director with the Wichita office of Stifel. Obviously, congratulations on the election results of last week. 75% yes votes is pretty impressive. Didn't surprise me with the quality of Circle Schools. We appreciate you allowing us to have this special meeting. Interest rates are still very good, and yet they're under a little bit of pressure. And so we think we would recommend expedition of the sale of the bonds in the best interest of Circle Schools and its taxpayers. Don't want to take too much of your time. We got our plan of finance, which we've updated, and then I'll turn it over to Brett after we talk about plan of finance and the rating agency process. I'll turn it over to Brett for the resolution. There are a lot of moving parts in this type of a transaction and the sale of a significant bond issue for Circle Schools. Go through this real quickly, and if you have any questions, stop me. In the top box, those are the bonds that you have outstanding that we will not touch. They are bonds that are not callable, and so there's no reason to refund those. They will remain outstanding, and all of those bonds will be retired by the year 2025. The total of those payments, I've dropped down to the next level because our goal is to create a plan of finance where we have as level a mill levy circumstance as possible for you and your planning. Once again, we have tried to be very conservative. We have used a factor of 2.5% assessed valuation growth for the next decade, 2031. And then even to be more conservative, we've dropped that in half to 1.25% beyond 2031. In the last 4 years, which is what we specifically looked at for this, you've averaged more than 7% assessed valuation growth. And I think it's been close to 6% if we go back even further through the last decade. If that continues, these mill levy estimates will be very, very conservative, which is our goal, and I think your goal as a board and administration. We are looking at 2 bond issues. One would be a refunding bond issue. The law was changed in 2017, and the IRS got the legislature to eliminate advance refunding with tax exempt bonds. The IRS is always, they want to collect as much tax as they can, and they didn't want double bond issues out through the refunding process. So they eliminated tax exempt advance refundings. And advance refunding is when you're refunding bonds that are not callable until in the future. But they do allow taxable, since they can tax that. So we've been doing in the last 2-3 years, taxable advance refundings when it was advantageous for our client. And we're gonna recommend that. You've got bonds outstanding beyond those 22 and 23 call dates at 4 to 3.5% primarily. I think there's one maturity of 5%. We believe in today's market, these presentations, these proposals, as far as interest rate levels, were provided by our trading desk in Denver. And they were a week ago. We ran them after the election, and so this represents this. We think these are very close. The markets move, they're fluid, and we cannot market either the refunding issue or the new money issue until we go through the rating process. But based on that, interest rates on average about 202 on the refunding bonds through 2031, even taxable. And the savings is down in the lower left-hand corner of your proposal. The debt service for refunding, total of $48,600,000. At these rates, to pay all the costs, create the escrow to defease those bonds to their call date, the resulting principal and interest payments, those refunding bonds be about $47.5 million. So we're looking at savings of approximately $1,160,000 by doing the refunding. We look at present value. The present value of that savings cash flow stream of the amount of principal refunded is about 2.985%. We look for 1.75 to 2%. And in fact, the resolution is going to indicate that. If we can't refund at least to a level of 1.75% present value savings, we won't refund everything, okay? We don't want a blank check. We don't want to do it if there's not significant savings for the district. The new money is in the middle column, 21 tax exempt new money. We can do those tax exempt. And based on our trading desk, it's unique that in this low interest rate environment, buyers want a 3% coupon, in some cases even more. And we can sell the new money bonds at 3% to yield down in the lower right-hand corner, reoffering premium. We think based on conditions today, we can sell bonds in those maturities at approximately 1.36 to 1.75%. That generates premium, which is your premium. We're selling at a higher coupon, but we're going to generate approximately $4,400,000 in premium. So if you look at sources and uses, we have authority to issue $42.62 million worth of bonds. That's what voters approved. But we can generate enough money, pay all the costs, and totally fund the project fund set up by the architect by issuing approximately $37.8 million worth of bonds. And that's what we're recommending with the premium sale. Now, if we can sell some bonds at a discount or at par, it will help the refunding because that'll be less interest costs in the early years. But this is where our trading desk said it would be. That average True interest cost is about 2.09%. Like I said, we hope that. Now, look at the box on the right. All of the debt service payments required from this structure, and then using our assessed valuation assumption, which we do feel like is very conservative. Based on this, the mill levy required, you might recall, you're levying 21.39 mills in your current budget. This would result, we're going to recommend you plan to budget 21.39 mills to build up some cash basis reserve. But the average over the next decade, we think is going to be very close to 21 mills instead of 21.39 mills. And then after the old bonds are retired, when we're just paying off the 2021 new bonds, we think very easily the mill levy could drop by a couple of mills to approximately 19.35 mills until all the debt is retired in 2037. Unless you come back and we want to do some additional improvements between now and then, another bond issue. So the market's very good. It's under a little pressure. Rates, we have to be honest with you, rates were a little lower probably 3 months ago. They've crept up probably 0.5% in that period of time. We want to get this done as quickly as possible because we're worried about inflation. Inflation is the enemy of the bond market, and we want to get you the lowest possible rate. The process takes a little bit of time. Brett's going to talk a little bit about the calendar. We're going to try and expedite that. It all depends on how quickly we can get S&P Global to process this rating circumstance. We've got a POS, a preliminary official statement ready, your audits, et cetera, to go to the rating agency, and we're hoping we can get them to turn around the rating for us in 2 weeks. Depending on their busyness, the number of issues they have to evaluate, it usually takes at least 2 weeks, sometimes 3, maybe even 4, but we're hopefully we can get this expedited. We are recommending, you are rated by both services, S&P Global and Moody's. The 19 deal we did, we used Moody's. We are recommending S&P Global this time, both ratings. We prefer them at this point in time because Moody's is in the process of recalibrating their methodology. And they've downgraded some Kansas school districts, which we don't like. And so we're recommending S&P Global. They haven't been doing this. We'll give the example, Hayesville, they dropped by 1 rating notch. And that's very important. And even more important, Moody's, Brett and I just worked in Seward County on a hospital refunding. Moody's had dropped them in recent years to double B level. BAA, below A. And we went through and went to S&P Global. They liked their reserves. They liked their economy. They rated them AA-. That's a huge differential in the cost of borrowing money. And that's our thinking process to recommend S&P. And we wanted to mention that. We talked about this with your administration, but if the board wanted to stay with Moody's for whatever reason, you're the bosses. We do that. But we think we have a better chance of maybe getting even an upgrade with S&P Global. And so we'd like to get board's permission to use them as our underlying credit rating. In addition, we're going to submit the issue to Build America Mutual and Assured Guarantee. They're insurance companies that rate municipal bonds. And that helps the marketability of the bonds. They're a notch higher than you are. It won't get us totally, but it may get us in between. It's a marketing tool, and the issue, we budgeted for payment of that premium to get that. So that's quick and dirty. We don't want to abuse your time. We appreciate you taking time out for a special meeting like this. We're excited about the issue. We want to get it done as quickly as possible. I would be glad to answer any questions on our plan of finance that you might have.
On the resolution, it talks to, on page 3, it talks about 85 million. What's that compared to what's on the finance?
Well, if the market shifted, we end up doing par bonds on the refunding, it would be about 42 million. Or if we ended up doing par bonds on the new money bonds, that'd be 42 million on the refunding and maybe the 42 million on the new money. And so you've got authority to do that. That's why we want to put a parameter and just tell you, we're not going to do more than that combined and put that as a parameter. And that's not going to be a problem, but I guess the market should shift and we could end up doing par bonds on the new money to the total of 42 plus. And so that gives us flexibility in that way. Good question.
The amount that, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that that's the full authority that the election gave you, as well as what we think the advance refunding would amount to. It's an aggregate amount of vote. And we can't go any more than that, and we shouldn't need to.
The remaining of our old bond, is that the 47,514? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 47,514 is the amount after the refunding of the bonds that we are refunding. That should be the amount of debt service we're estimating after the transaction
Okay,
on the old bonds.
okay.
And as Steve said earlier, before the refunding, that amount is 48,676,000. We're hoping to bring that down to 47,514.
Okay.
That's where the $1.16 million in savings.
Okay,
So we've got some flexibility. We want to do the refunding cost effective. We're sure that some of those maturities will be cost effective, but if rates eat up a little bit, we may not do all of those, and they would be saved and could be refunded at a later date. We think it's cost effective to do it all now, but we only want to do it if it's cost effective. We could save that for another transaction at a later date on a portion of those refunded bonds. If there aren't any other questions, I'll just turn it over to Brett to briefly mention the resolution and what it authorizes and go from there.
Is everybody okay with S&P Global Rating Service?
yes.
Jake, Nathan, are you guys okay with S&P? Okay, we'll move forward with that.
The resolution for consideration this afternoon, I'm not sure it's numbered yet, but it's
10.
2021-10. It basically states that the wording, the ballot language was adopted at your election on April 20th by a majority of qualified voters in your district and was approved. It also states that you have 3 bond issues with callable bonds that we plan to advance refund. Those 3 bond issues are listed there. On the 3rd page, it states that we will issue no more than $85 million in combined taxable and tax exempt bonds for the advanced refunding and new money projects. And then on the advanced refunding, the present value savings will not be less than 1.75%. We're estimating a little under 3% today. We're still a few weeks away from selling bonds. And as Steve said, the market's kind of fluid right now. We're going to get you as much as we can, but it'll be no less than 1.75% in present value savings. Also states that you'll comply with Rule 15C212, that's continuing disclosure, that your clerk does a great job at making annual filings. And that covers the whole resolution. So if you have any questions regarding the bond sale resolution. And as far as timing, we've done some preliminary work. Right now, the current schedule is to have a bond sale on May 25th and close a bond issue, put money in the bank June 15th. We're a little cautious about interest rates. We were talking this morning, and we want to try and expedite that as much as possible if the rating agency will cooperate. If they can get us a rating in a couple weeks, we'd like to maybe move that up to the previous week. Maybe instead of the 25th, market bonds on the 20th. If the rating agency can cooperate, then we're confident we can get that done and even move up the closing date from the June 15th to June 1st. So get money in the bank and get the refunding closed about 15 days earlier. Either one of those dates will require a special meeting. We don't have enough time to wait for your next regularly scheduled meeting. So hopefully we can get some cooperation from the board on scheduling a special meeting, either the 20th or the 21st.
Like today, the day after 24th, a new meeting, if that.
Yeah, if it's a new meeting, it'd have to be Friday, the 21st. The marketing process usually goes into the late afternoon. So if you're comfortable with an evening meeting, we can do the 20th or a noon meeting on the 21st. We propose that.
We can, let the board speak, but, as it gets a little bit closer, we'll know a little bit more details on that, and I can reach out to the board to see what their wishes would be, on that.
Okay. And on the sale date, which we think will be the 20th, we'll need the board president and the clerk available to sign a bond purchase agreement that afternoon. That's so we can lock in the orders of our buyers and lock in those interest rates.
Yeah, is that on the 20th or the 20th? It could potentially be the 25th though, correct? Or is it after?
Potentially.
Okay.
If the rating agency just can't get it done in time, it'd be the 25th. We think we can get the 20th.
Okay.
We'll keep you up to date on that.
Our rating should be easy.
We hope that they have to study it real hard to maybe give you that AA minus.
And that's what we hope.
That's what we'd like to see. That would help. You know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I think that's worth a 0.1%, 10 basis points, and on an $80 million loan. It's a lot.
So at this point, are you just needing a motion on resolution 2021-10?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board meeting on the materials that were just presented? Okay, if not, I seek a motion to approve resolution 2021-10.
This is Ben, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-10.
Okay. Motion by Ben. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Jake. All those in favor? And I'm guessing
Motion
Ben.
carries 6.
Okay, 6-0. Okay, thank you very much for presenting that. We're very excited to get the bond moving forward. So moving on to personnel. Carrie, were there any additions to the resignations or appointments?
No, there was not.
I would like to point out, Mr. Hayes is retiring at the end of this year, and he spent several years in our district, so I'd like to point that out to the board.
Appreciate that. So at this time, I need a motion.
I have one quick question. Have we done an exit interview on the resignation?
Not yet, we have not, I don't believe.
No, I have not yet. Normally, those exit interviews on the supplementals are done by the athletic directors, but I can also send, we have just now started implementing our exit interview here at the district office, so I can send that to them as well.
Will that be presented to the board?
It's a new process, we can if the board wants to. Typically, that's not presented to the board on all of those. there's a lot of these that will go out, like with our teachers and things. They'll go out at the end of the year, so a lot of our exit interviews, are not when we act on them with the board, they'll be sent out at the end of their term.
We can definitely put that on our May meeting to, have a discussion on how the board would like to see those handled. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and I'm sorry, my internet cut out there for just a moment, so. Are we ready to move forward with the approval of the resignations? Okay, so I seek a motion to approve the resignation and retirement of Mr. Hayes with appreciation.
I'll first that.
Thank you, Nathan. And second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jake. All those in favor? Okay.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And then I seek a motion to approve the appointments as presented.
So moved.
By Christie. Do I hear a second?
This is Dan, I'll second it.
And second by Ben. All those in favor?
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for taking a break in their day-to-day to join us so that we were able to get the bond process in motion. So I appreciate you taking the time to join the meeting. We have reached the end. So unless Mr. Potter, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay, we will adjourn then the special meeting of the Board of Education. Thanks, everybody.